Okay, we are live and in the building. Let's get that chat overlay going. Let's get the chat going. Nico, Nico, you're crazy, man. He's in the stream, he's in the chat of the stream, and he's on TikTok. How? That's crazy, man. What are you doing? He's like, I love it here, man. This is home away from home. I feel it, man. Nico's everywhere. What's going on, everyone? Good to see people popping in. Derpy, what's up, man? Nathan, hello. Everyone in the chat. Life of Oliver, good to see you, man. Everyone is here. We got a lot of people popping in. Anyway, today we are talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I got a lot of friends from TikTok. They're going to be popping in here soon. So we're going to have a great conversation talking about Star Wars, talking about Obi-Wan, and lots of theories that are going behind that, the show, interior, exterior, whatever. There's going to be a lot of fun theories that we're going to talk about. But besides that, before we bring everyone in, I'm also live on TikTok. So all my TikTok people, if you guys have questions, I will be bouncing around like a crazy person trying to get to everyone. So feel free. Like if you're not on YouTube and you're asking questions here for me or for any of the guests, feel free to post them here and I will get to you. I'm not forgetting about you guys, even though you're in my peripheral vision. Other than that, live stuff for the channel. Obviously, I mentioned this before, but memberships are live now on the channel. It's not really a thing like pressing hard on anyone, but just it's a new thing that was made available for me, which is really cool. So if you're somebody that's been on the page for a while and you're like, hey, I really want to support the Mandalorian, love what you do, love the content, then that is a cool way that you can help out and support the channel. So be sure to look through those. There's 3 different ones. You guys can see which one is most fitting for you. And other than that, man, I think there's a lot of people. It's gone up as far as subscribers that are watching, but there's still a good half of you guys that are watching that are unsubscribed. So I encourage all of my unsubscribed people. What are you doing? Hit that button, man. Hit the button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get all the future notifications and we can sip coffee together and talk about Star Wars. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Erica always sneaking in the chat. I see you. These eyes see everything, including everything that's happening on TikTok. What's up, guys? Hello. So other than that, shorts have been doing really well. I encourage anyone who is coming from TikTok and you guys are doing a YouTube channel, be sure to post your shorts. They've done, at least mine anyway, have done really well on the YouTube platform, and they're really great, man. So I've seen a lot of new faces coming to the channel just from those videos alone. So be sure to post shorts. Make sure they don't have like, music that's, copyright stuff, because that'll be bad. The Batman Who Laughs, you, with all caps. Yeah, man, what's up? Mine's so terrible. You have a YouTube channel, Nico? Really? What? Since when? How's your day, Erica? Oh, now my chat's not even talking to me anymore. So that's a cue for me to go ahead and bring in my guests. When the chat doesn't even care about you. What is your own show? It's time to bring in everybody else. All right, so we got a lot of fun guests coming in from TikTok. You guys know every Wednesday I try to do a thing where it's dedicated to Star Wars TikTok, and that's bringing in a lot of the faces that are, really well known and fun people that do some great content in terms of Star Wars, everything, 24/7, like myself. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in everyone. Let's trickle everyone in. Boom. And we have a couple more, and we are live with everyone. What's up, guys?
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi.
Good to see you all. Beards and hair and everything. Good to see everyone. We are talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars stuff. Shout out to my buddy Denton Helmet Cosplay, man. Good to see you.
Oh,
Dude,
hi.
do you remember last time I had you on? Like, my stream was so different. Oh my God, we were going through like Zoom meetings. And it's a totally different setup now, man. It's very different. So glad to have you back, man. Good to see you. So the way I want to kick it off is, there's a lot of people who may not know who some of you guys are. If you guys are from TikTok, obviously you've seen all of these guys. They're amazing. They have some great content. But let's start off with Lebo.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. Who are you and what do you do on TikTok, man?
So I've been on TikTok for about over a year. My TikTok name is Obiwan Kenobi, all one word. I'm old. I'm really old. I saw Star Wars in 1977 in the movie theater.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I remember that. And I'm also a member of the Rebel Legion as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I had the full costume, lightsabers. I grow the beard the best I can. And I'm super excited about the show because Ewan McGregor's about my age. And so he will probably have a grayer beard than he did in Revenge of the Sith. So I'm coming into my character. I'm super stoked about that.
Let me get a closer look at you. Wow, look at him. He's it's uncanny.
Yeah,
it's almost as if I'm looking at Ian McGregor. It's great, man.
I'm not Ewan McGregor, but I definitely for Obi-Wan. In fact, I did a side by side of myself and the concept art, and it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, man.
I'm really excited to be here. Big fan of yours.
Yeah, thank you.
I see faces out there.
It's an Obi-Wan show today, so it only made sense to bring you on. Like everyone that's here. Juliana Christine, I'm so happy to talk to you too. So I was like,
hello.
Obi-Wan, anything? We gotta have her here, and we're gonna get to you
I'm
in a
excited
minute,
to be here. My connection's a little rocky, but I'll do my best to hang in there. I'm very happy to be here. You're such a positive force in the community, so I'm very excited to talk about my favorite guy and all of my thoughts. So I'm looking forward to it.
Juliana, while you're speaking, can you tell folks what is it that they can expect from your page on TikTok?
So I'm Julia Christine 77 on TikTok. I'm also one half of the podcast Star Wars English class. But on my TikTok, it's a lot of Obi-Wan. I'm also kind of known for being one of the foremost quirky Kenobi theorists on TikTok. So if you want to know about Obi-Wan's secret child, I have all the information. I have all the information you need. But I'm actually planning on doing in the coming weeks and months a sort of like Road to Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Where Fern and myself on our individual channels, as well as the podcast TikTok, are going to do like canon book guides, Legends book guides, his canon biography, Legends biography, just a bunch of informational, like getting you up to speed with the character since Revenge of the Sith type video. So if you want to get caught up on that, or you want to have a guide for like, my uncle wants to watch the Clone Wars episodes that Obi-Wan's in, I'm planning on making that soon. So I'm very much looking forward to that project.
Yeah. No, man. Lebo, Juliana, Christine, I've had a great time following you guys' pages. Lebo is great. You didn't mention this, and maybe you'll talk about it more, but not only, he's got the look down, man. My guy has got the drip, the look of Obi-Wan. Like, he's got it. So not only does he do that, but he's also got, like, Mandalorian stuff. He's got some really fun stuff on his page in terms of the cosplay. And then Juliana, it definitely feels like lore. If you really want to learn some good stuff, especially with everything she was saying, you'll have a good time on her page too. Let's go to my buddy Dented Helmet. What's up, man? Who are you? Who are you, and what do you do on TikTok?
I'm Dented Helmet. As my name suggests, I have a dent in my helmet, and that's about it. No, but that's it. No, I do a lot of different cosplays, from the beloved now Boba Fett to Jango Fett. The reason I'm here is because of Darth Maul, but also because Commander Cody. You can kind of see which side is it? Animated armor right there. Yeah. So that's a nightmare and a half to get into. But yeah, that's why I'm here, is because I've played characters that are hand in hand with Kenobi, whether they're his right hand man Cody or a little demon boy Maul. I don't know.
And guys, please, everyone on TikTok, definitely be sure. And if you guys are here in the chat, be sure to go and follow Dented Helmet. He is great, man. If in the cosplay side of things, if you've seen any like Boba Fett, Darth Maul cosplay, oh my God, this man is amazing. So, and he does more than that. He's got a couple other things on his page, but those are some of the things that I know him for and really appreciate. So be sure to go and check out his page. Nico Skywalker. I feel like I have to say your name like that every time. You've been on here a few times, but still, there may be new viewers, man. Who are you? What do you do? And what can people expect on your TikTok page?
All right, I'm Nico Skywalker. I spin lightsabers and cosplay Kenobi in my free time with wonderful crochet beards.
Yeah, I was going to say, what happened to your beard? You shaved very quickly.
It's a little hot sometimes.
Okay.
The
Yeah, no,
luxuries
Nico
of
is
a
great,
fake one.
man. Lightsaber, everything, tutorials, Disney. We're just waiting on them to hire. So, other than that, man, yeah, be sure to follow Nico. And then Mandalorian. Did I say it right?
Close enough. Yeah.
How do I say it? How do I say it?
It's Mandalorian. It's Mandalorian, and my last name's Manda. My first name's Kay, so it's like Manda K Lorian.
Mandalorian. Ah, Mandalorian. Good to see you, my friend. I feel like your face on my For You page of TikTok has been fairly fresh. It's been very fresh, and I'm happy that I started following you because I get a good laugh every time I see your content. But it's all Star Wars related. So tell me about yourself. Who are you, and what do you do on TikTok? What can people expect?
Yeah, so I'm here. I am on TikTok. I've only been there for about 6 months, so I am fairly new.
Okay.
But trust me, I've been a Star Wars fan most of my whole life.
Yeah.
I talk about Star Wars and a little Disney here and there, but yeah, it's mostly just the happier joke, live, laugh, love sides of Star Wars that I love to talk about. Focus on the things we love together.
And I think that's the most unique thing about, I would say, Star Wars TikTok in general, and with this group alone. I mean, look at everyone here. It's that's just a glimpse of the community itself. Like, there's something for everyone in every side of the fandom, you know. And in terms of creators too, you know, you guys are the faces behind that speaks to it. So I love that. It's like if you want to get educated on some fun stuff, you know who to go to. If you're just like, man, I need somebody to make me smile and laugh, it's like, you know, there's somebody for that too. Or if you need to learn how to spin a lightsaber, or you want to learn how to have a dented helmet, you know, or you want to have a good beard and look great holding a lightsaber, there's somebody for that too. So it's amazing, man. So happy to have all of you here. Now, let me check on chat before we get into questions. Thank you, man. Glad you love the videos. We're live on YouTube as well. So if you want to see folks from TikTok, be sure to come and join us. Let me check on the chat here on YouTube. How's everyone doing? Okay, they're all having their own conversation. So let's kick off our first question. I thought this one was really unique because I really haven't talked about it with anyone else. At least I don't think I have. So the first question we'll start off with is, what did Qui-Gon and Maul converse about? And when I ask this question, this is kind of meant to theorize something I hope that they give a flashback to, which I think would be really interesting. But this goes back to the Phantom Menace. So there's that moment where Qui-Gon Jinn and Maul, they're facing up against each other, and you know, they're kind of in that like shaft where there's like shields, but you can't really see if they're talking. You can't hear what's being said, but you see Obi-Wan in the back with his, you know, little rat tail ponytail thing, and you know, but you can't really tell what's going on, what they're talking about. If there was, you know, dialogue there, what do you guys think those two were conversing about? Lebo, we'll have you start that one off, man.
Sure. This was probably one of the toughest questions for me to answer, but thinking about it right now off the top of my head, if anything, I think Maul was trying to unbalance Qui-Gon. I think if there was conversation or forced conversation, he knew that Qui-Gon might even be a better fighter than him, so he tried to access Qui-Gon's anger and aggression and just make him completely unbalanced. And to the point that you see Qui-Gon in that fight, in the scene you're talking about, he kneels down to focus on the Force, and I think maybe it wasn't enough, and he got distracted. So I mean, that's real. This was a tough question. But that's basically it. I think that he was just trying to make Qui-Gon unbalanced, and he achieved that. Okay,
interesting. I like that. I can definitely see that. Juliana, what about you? What do you think?
That's a great question. I hadn't really considered that they might have potentially even had a conversation. I agree with the kind of unbalancing Qui-Gon angle. I think, you know, Maul fights dirty and he, you know, smashes him in the face with the handle of his saber, and that's how he gets him, right? So I think that would be in keeping with Maul's aggressive style, is to be he's hunting them, he's pacing back and forth like he's like a big cat stalking them. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he was unbalancing him. I don't know if Qui-Gon would be the type later, you know, Obi-Wan still tries to reach out to Maul, like even in the Lawless arc in the Clone Wars. I don't know that Qui-Gon would do that. I think at that point, Qui-Gon's focus was, like Obi-Wan said, with the I don't know if it's actually battle meditation, if that's what it's called, but he's trying to stay focused and Maul is trying to unfocus him. So maybe he's like making fun of his fashion sense and saying he needs to get a haircut or something.
Yeah, don't ever cut that luscious hair, Qui-Gon.
No, it'd be a crime.
Right. I like that. Interesting. Denton Helmet, what about you, man? What do you think was the conversation between those two?
I like the idea of the unbalanced factor, but I honestly don't believe they were talking at all. Like, I don't know. I feel like Qui-Gon was trying to get a hold of like where he was and like trying to like center himself and stuff. But at the end of the like before the shield goes up and stuff, I think Qui-Gon already like solidified and knew his fate that he was gonna do, and that was to not necessarily sacrifice himself for Obi-Wan, but like in a way kind of lead to that moment. So I don't know if they were talking, and I like to believe that they weren't, and that Maul was just kind of like festering on the other side.
Okay, I like that. All right, Nico, man, what do you think was happening in that scene?
I also like the idea of just dead silence, like calm before like, well, time to battle till my death. I just like that idea of just like a calm before the storm.
Okay, I feel that. Kira, what about you? What do you think was happening in that scene between Qui-Gon and Maul?
I think, like Denton Helmet said, there's a lot of unseen stuff there, you know, whether it's feeling through the Force or nothing at all. I think it's worth noting that Maul, maturity-wise, I think is like not as advanced as Qui-Gon is. And so for him, there's a lot of like pacing, a lot of aggression, a lot of youthful, whatever it is, where Qui-Gon is more accepted, reserved, you know, just on a different level.
Yeah. I think after listening to all, I mean, honestly, I didn't have the answer myself. That's why I wanted to hear from you guys. You know, yeah, I definitely get that sense of like him trying to throw him off balance. I feel like that would definitely make sense. It was hard. The only reason why I brought this up is because, like, if you guys have obviously watched, you know, Clone Wars and Rebels, Maul is such a talker there. You know, in Phantom Menace, you know, he was the coolest damn character in the movie. And he didn't say anything. Did he say anything at all? I don't think he said anything, right?
At last we will have revenge.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, we got that. But it was like, you know, there's such a difference from that moment to, you know, seeing him in Clone Wars. It was like, wow, you know. So I wonder if there was something, what would have been said. But I could definitely see the off-balance thing. But there's still something ominous about there just being that silence as it was, where there was nothing, but still the feeling of, you know, this guy is still trying to throw him off balance. And Qui-Gon being such a Zen-like character, I feel like, was kind of just settled into what he needed to do. So it's interesting. I'm glad I conversed with you guys about that question, because it's just something randomly that popped in my mind thinking about Obi-Wan. On to our next question, number 2. So what is Maul's role in the Kenobi show, if he's in the Kenobi show? But we're gonna go around, and I have to bring up Maul in the Kenobi show, because to me, maybe you guys can attest to this, I feel like Darth Maul is definitely like it's the yin and yang between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. I feel like if you're gonna have a Kenobi show and not have Darth Maul, it just wouldn't make sense. Obviously Darth Vader, yeah, we know we're gonna get and we're gonna talk about that here soon too. But I don't know. I just feel like you have to have something there with Maul. He has to have a presence. In terms of their history, it just only makes sense. So, Lebo, we'll start with you on this one, man. What would Darth Maul's role be in Kenobi?
So I disagree with you a little. I don't really see Maul being in the show. I think you have the Inquisitors and you have Vader. So you have a lot of Force wielder lightsabing fights.
Yeah,
as is. Can Maul be mentioned? I'm personally, and we're going to address this later, I'm personally hoping for a Satine flashback. So perhaps Maul could be in the flashback. I don't want to witness her die again, but but maybe, you know, we'll get that scene 4K. Again in live action. I believe in this time period, Maul is running crime syndicate, right? So
Yep.
I don't see him in the show, but I do kind of think possibly in a flashback involving Satine.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And you know, I can deal with that too. I feel like there's just got to be something for sure. And hello to everyone in the TikTok chat. If you guys have questions, feel free to post them. I'll be sure to ask questions to the broader group if you guys do have questions for the YouTube stream. Juliana, what about you? If Maul is in the show,
Sure.
what do you think his role is?
So you're gonna get tired of hearing this answer, but I have a very specific sense of like, if it was me in charge, I would bring in a lot of these characters and a lot of these references in a Force vision, a la Yoda season 6 of Clone Wars, going through the trials to become a Force ghost. Like, to me, that's the like natural way to do it, because you have Yoda facing his worst fears, his potential failures as a Jedi Master, as a Grand Master, seeing Darth Bane. Like, I think that would be a very useful way of bringing in a lot of those characters, a lot of those references, without directing. There's, you know, your main like present day plot with whatever's happening with the Inquisitors and Vader, and then you have this like parallel journey of Obi-Wan preparing to be a Force ghost, and that's where a lot of like that personal trauma comes in, and that's where like you get Sam Witwer voiceover as Maul, you know, haunting him, or sort of goading him as he's sort of training. So that's where I think most of these characters can appear while not actively needing to be like alive in the present day. So that's my answer for pretty much any character that we want to appear that doesn't make sense as like actually physically there. But that's how I would do it, is have him be one of the things from his past he has to face in order to like become one with the Force eventually.
Interesting. Can we just make that canon now?
Yeah.
I really hope Disney is like in my live stream. Somebody check in the chat, like, is Disney Plus in the live stream? If they are,
they already did it with Yoda, and they did something similar with the Mortis arc, and I just think it's not necessarily repeating. I don't think as many people have seen the Clone Wars, but that was such a interesting, like, seeing Yoda face his worst fears, and like seeing Order 66 was so insightful in terms of like what it means to be choosing the light and sort of being one with the Force. And I just think if we want to get that juicy Obi-Wan emotional stuff, that seems like a really natural place to go for it. So
interesting. Now I have to go, before we go to Dented Helmet, going off of what you're saying, I think it would be so cool, like the last episode, like as he's going through these trials and kind of working through, like, not necessarily preparing to die and becoming a Force ghost, but it's really just this level of a Jedi's journey and having that knowledge. And I think definitely bringing in Qui-Gon, but having him in the very last episode to where that's the moment, you know, Obi-Wan masters this technique. And I just envision it at night, campfire, him sitting, you know, side by side with the Force ghost of Qui-Gon. And it's kind of like that moment of saying, you know, it's kind of finished, you know, what he needed to do in terms of that communing with his, you know, Jedi Master. As was mentioned, you know, in Clone Wars, that was kind of the thing that, you know, you were speaking on with Yoda. So, let's head canon. I hope it happens, man. Dented Helmet, what about you, man? What was my question? I don't remember the question. Maul, Darth Maul.
Yeah.
He's in the show. What's his role?
So I was gonna say I don't see him playing a role at all in the show, because
Really?
I just don't see it fitting. But then she answered that whole elaborate thing, and it makes my answer look like crap now. So I don't know. I more see a flashback of him and Commander Cody than I do anything Maul at this point. Just because we have that rumored like Maul animated show or something like that.
We're gonna talk about that too. Yeah.
So I really don't see Maul playing any role in this show.
Okay. Interesting. That's really interesting coming from you, because I was like, because I know you're like the Maul guy. So, but I get that, because it does seem like there's a lot of other things going on in the midst of that. Throwing Maul in, like, he's such a beloved character, even though he's a bad guy, but still, I think I don't want it to feel so rushed and stuffed. So it would be like, what's the purpose? I get that for sure of having him in. So I get that. I don't think that's too far off. I do agree with both you and Juliana, where it's like, if he's there, it's got to be for like a brief second, but for a purpose of some sort. So I definitely get that. Nico, I don't think we've talked about this. What do you think? If Maul's in the show, what is his role in Kenobi?
In my heart, I see like flashbacks, like PTSD triggered flashbacks, and like almost a sense of him like feeling a need to be prepared if he ever encounters Maul again, which he does in Rebels. So I feel like a flashback that'll trigger him into like just waiting for this guy to show up.
Okay, I can see that. Almost. Ooh, you know what would be interesting is if you get a moment with Obi-Wan that's like reverse of what we seen with Maul, you know, in Rebels, where he was kind of like just distraught, walking in the desert, searching for Kenobi. You guys know what I mean. So having that moment for Obi-Wan where he's fearful of his past catching up with him, where it's literally almost a night and day. You know, ooh, can we put that in the notes? Someone send that to Disney Plus, please. I think that would be really cool. Before we go to our next guest, I gotta highlight a comment from a buddy of mine. Where is he? I think I missed it. There he is. JC Maul versus Vader. Oh, I think that we're gonna talk about that later too. I have some thoughts on Maul versus Vader. Oh yeah, there he is. So Space Jesus and Daddy Vader will return. Let's go. JC, good to see you, man. By the way, we're gonna connect on Friday, bringing you on. We're gonna talk about all the Star Wars movies. It's gonna be a great stream. It's gonna be great. So okay, cool. And then let me check on TikTok. Oh my God, the comments. You know what my comment section is like. Let me tell you what my comment section. Maybe I should ask everyone this later too. But my comment section is, "Can I be on your bounty list?" "Hey, Daddy." "Hey, Dad." A bunch of crazy stuff, man. It's a mix of Fortnite kids and simps. So that's what I have to deal with in mind. Anyway, going on to our next guest. So Kier, what about you? If Maul is in the show, I want to hear from you and your thoughts on this. What is his role?
Yeah, so 2 thoughts on this. I also don't think he's going to necessarily be in the show. Okay. I think Obi-Wan is in his head, and he is not so much in Obi-Wan's head, you know? Agreed. If it was a Maul show, Kenobi would be there and haunting him or whatever. But I don't see Maul. It's not an equal battle or nemesis or whatever in his mind.
Yeah.
I think a flashback, I think Julia's excellent point with the Clone Wars Yoda arc would be amazing.
Yeah.
Something else that comes to mind is, I don't know if you've read the short story collection From a Certain Point of View, but there is one in there from A New Hope, and it's Force Ghost Qui-Gon talking to Obi-Wan right before they leave to go to the Death Star. And it's beautiful and it's poetic, and I think there is something there that they could build on in the show of having this relationship with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan like continuing on, you know?
Yeah, I haven't read that one. I know what you're talking about. I have the Empire Strikes Back. I read that one from a certain point. But I get what you're saying in terms of the premises, where there's a lot of cool stuff that they could do. I haven't read the one for New Hope, but that sounds.
I recommend it. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, dude, that would be so cool. And now, see, man, after asking you guys about this, I feel like it would make more sense to kind of do like just kind of like a flashback kind of a thing. It feels. And that's the cool thing about conversing with folks. You kind of get a better sense of things. But it would almost, I don't know if it would necessarily feel out of place. I think there could be a place for them all if he's in it. But with everything that's happening, I think it would have to be very minimal. You know what I mean? If he was in the show. So good talk on that one, guys. Let's see what our next question is. So Maul versus Vader. Who wins? Now, this is, again, what if he is in the show? What's something that we have not seen, at least I haven't seen, is Maul go up against Darth Vader. You know, it was kind of mentioned in Clone Wars where, Ahsoka was like, well, she, paraphrasing here, but she was like, if you couldn't handle me, you definitely couldn't handle my master, seeing the way that you fight. But there's the what if factor. If Maul does really end up appearing in the show, something that we haven't seen is him going up against Darth Vader. And I think that would be an interesting kind of moment because you have a kind of the past and future kind of a thing. Anakin was kind of his replacement in a sense. So I wonder if there would be like, is there something that he's holding on to with that? Could we see a moment like that happen? And if they did fight, who would win? So Lebo, kick us off, man. Who wins?
Complicated one. I don't think they're going to fight in the show, and they almost met in Star Wars Rebels on Malachor. They were both there at the same time.
Oh yeah.
But in all honesty, I think Vader was probably one of the greatest Siths out there, and so I think he would win. I think Maul. This is another question that I really couldn't answer when I got the pre-questions. I just don't think Maul would do well against Vader, as you said Ahsoka did. Anakin was a cunning warrior. I think he just would have beaten Maul just because he was supposed to be one of the most powerful Siths out there. He was, granted, Maul was under Palpatine as well, but clearly he didn't do so well. So other than saying Vader wins, that's the only thing I really have on this particular topic. I have a lot more coming up, but this one's short for me.
No, for sure. I think as Splendid Sith Lord would say, Daddy Vader takes the win. So fair enough, man. Juliana, what about you? Who do you think would win in this confrontation?
I don't spend a lot of time thinking about lightsaber matchups because the real answer is whatever the story says is supposed to happen is who wins. And it's all of the fights are so rooted in a particular moment. So it really depends, psychologically, story-wise, what's happening. Part of me feels like Maul could have maybe beaten Anakin, but I don't think he could beat Vader. I feel like there's Anakin is easily riled, and Vader has more control over that rage and sort of channeled it into the dark side as opposed to an Anakin who's probably a little bit more easily flustered. That being said, also Maul's sort of his tragic flaw is pride, right? So I think a lot of fights he loses because he assumes he's, so powerful, and I could see him being more acrobatic, having more sort of energy. He could beat Vader, and then having that pride, backfire on him. I would have loved to see Anakin and Maul duel. That would have been a lot of fun to watch, a very aggressive, dynamic fight. I don't know that there's a lot of people. Again, I don't know that much about lightsabers. I think story-wise, the Maul losing is kind of beneficial to most stories. It feeds into his complex and his sort of insecurities as a character. So he tends to lose because it's more interesting for him to kind of battle those issues. But maybe could have beaten Anakin if Anakin was having a bad day, which is most days.
Yeah, and I really like what you said. There's something that's very true to that we as fans can tend to forget a lot of the times. It really boils down to whatever the story says, whatever is written, and that's what's going to happen. That happens in comics, it happens in the films, same thing in Star Wars. So whatever the writers say, that's what comes to life. But then there is that other part of, the character analysis, and I could see that for sure. The pridefulness kind of getting to Maul. Dented helmet, man. The Maul enthusiast. What do you? I'm curious to hear from you on this. What do you think? Who would win?
Everyone always says that, and it's true. Maul loses all the time. I mean, you've seen every lightsaber fight he's been in. Out of pure spite, I would say Maul would win the fight.
Okay.
No reasoning behind it.
No reason.
That's just my stance.
Fair enough. He said out of pure spite, Maul.
Out of pure spite. But no, I agree with some of the other points, though. I think there is a difference between him fighting Anakin versus Vader kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it would be a pretty close fight for me to not be able to actually, place bets on who would win, though.
Yeah.
But if I had to, even if I was losing, it's going to be on Maul. So...
That is a diehard fan, man. Diehard fan. I respect that. All right, Nico, what about you, man? Who do you think who takes this fight?
I'm gonna put my credits on Vader.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just he's just such an impeccable duelist, and Julia said, his rage is kind of honed. It's like it completes him.
Yeah. Yeah,
the angle
for
of
sure.
the fight. It's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna put my credits on Maul. That
Okay.
what? No, scratch
Yeah.
that. Rewind
Yeah.
the tape. I'm gonna put my credits on Vader, and also because Splendid would kill me if I didn't say that.
Oh yeah, I see Splendid here in the chat, man. He's eyeing everyone. No, yeah, okay. Kira, what about you? Who do you think takes this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. The difference between Anakin and Vader is interested, but also like at this point in time, so Vader's fighting style changes, right? And at this point in time in the universe, with the Kenobi show is starting,
Yeah.
he's still getting used to that outfit, you know, his
Yeah.
new getup. And
Yep.
so his fighting style is very choppy, like in A New Hope, right? Very, solid. And I think Maul could use that, and I think he could manipulate that,
Yeah.
and really play off of Anakin not having what he used to or whatever. It would be,
Yeah.
I think, more than just a physical fight. It would be really psychological. That being said, Maul would lose because he's destined to lose. So, Vader.
My boy Denton is salty over here. He's like, oh, man.
I see why you brought me on here.
Not at all, man. Not at all. All right. Good. Good answers from everyone. Let me see. Let me check on our chat and see what's going on. This chat takes a life form of its own. Dented helmet Maul fanboy. I love it. Yeah, JC. He's a major Vader like lover, simp, all of that. So Vader is his boy, man. So I figured I already know. I don't even need to ask who we would probably be going with. Okay, so let's go with our next question. And before I do that, let me check on TikTok. What's your Mandalorian impression? My Mandalorian impression? It's just my voice. This is the way. That's it. It's just it's you know what I learned?
It's good though. It's really good.
Thank you. I learned from Pedro himself. He said it's just it's a bedroom voice. So I think of like, having your shirt off, sitting by a fire, drinking scotch with my helmet on. Think of that image, and then you can do the voice. It's like, yeah, this is the way, and then that's it, man. That's it. So anyway, I get asked that all the time. Like, how do you do the voice? What voice box do you use? I'm like, nothing. It's just a voice filter in my voice. That's it. So our next question, team, is and I didn't answer. Before we go to the next one, let me answer the first question. Definitely Vader, I think, would win in the fight, but yeah, I think it would be. I still think it would be fun to see because it's something that we haven't seen thus far in canon. You know what I mean? Seeing those two, dark side users going up against each other, or having a confrontation. Period. You know what I mean? Face to face. I think that would be very interesting. Doesn't necessarily have to be a major fight. That fight could be like a couple seconds, and Maul is like, okay, this guy's that dude. But I think some type of confrontation between the two would be very interesting. Whether that's dialogue or whatever, I still think it would be really interesting to see those two meet at some point. So that's my answer for that. Next question is number 4, rematch of the century. Who starts the fight? So by that, Kathleen Kennedy and a lot of folks at Lucasfilm and Disney have mentioned, for the Kenobi show, it's going to be this thing where it's the rematch of the century. That's what they keep saying about, Darth Vader versus Kenobi, who will have the high ground this time. So, Lebo, how does this fight take place? We're just theorizing. We don't know too much right now. We know this is before New Hope, right? No, sorry. This is before that moment in Rebels. This is before New Hope, right? So we know that much. We know that he's going to be kind of looking after a young Luke. So we have a little bit of information. But just theorizing here, how does this fight start between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan? Where do you think it takes place? Who starts the fight? Who shoots first or ignites their lightsaber first? Go.
Okay, this one I've been really looking forward to. So I actually said a long time ago, before the show was even announced, that my own headcanon was that Vader and Kenobi meet one more time before New Hope. So I've been a fan of this and theories for this for years.
Okay.
So I really predict the show starting off with Kenobi just being on Tatooine, and I think he somehow hears a cry from help from Anakin saying, Master, please help me, please save me. So I think he's going to leave Tatooine and try to hunt down. Like at some point, he's going to realize that Anakin's still alive. As far as Obi-Wan knows, Anakin died at on the side of the lava pit.
Yeah.
So at some point, he's going to be like, "Oh crap!" And he's going to go venture off. He'll probably leave a trusted friend to watch over Luke. I'm thinking maybe Jar Jar might make an appearance in the show, and he will somehow track down Vader, and they will meet. And I think it'll be Vader who will start to fight this time. I think Obi-Wan, because this was kind of alluded to in Return of the Jedi, I think Obi-Wan's going to really say, there's still good in you. Come back. We can bring you back. And so I think they're going to get in a big fight. And I think, so what I think is also going to happen is that it's either Obi-Wan's going to win or it's going to be kind of a tie. But with one last bit of goodness in Vader, he's going to let Obi-Wan go. He's going to say, leave. And I never want to see you again. So that's why in A New Hope, when he says you should not have come back, I think he's alluding to that. I let you go and you came back. You deserve to die.
Interesting.
So I think Vader's going to start to fight. And like I said, it's going to end in a tie or Obi-Wan winning. But they're going to part with both hearts broken.
Yeah.
So.
Now, there's something that you said I want to go after, and anyone in the chat, anyone in the stream, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But and I'm not sure if, I guess if you're in a dyad with someone in the Force, you could probably communicate in a certain way. And I know, obviously Anakin and Kenobi had a really strong relationship, like brothers, But when you said something about like him hearing the voice of Anakin, like, Master, I need your help. Would that be like a manipulation kind of a thing? Is that something that Vader could do? I feel like that's more of the power, and maybe that's Palpatine trying to lure him in, making him hear Anakin's voice to bring him out of hiding or something. I think I
really feel that Anakin is still going to be somewhat conflicted.
Yeah.
I think he, like I said, there's still some good in him, and he hate who he became and who he's becoming, and he's like, there's only one person who can help me become Anakin again, and that's my old master, but it doesn't work out.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Now you got me thinking, man. And it's great because this seems like that thought for you has been festering for a while. So it's going to be really interesting to see it kind of play out in the show. Juliana, I feel like you're burning. You got an answer, girl. I got to hear from you on this. Tell me, what do you think?
Well,
Who starts the fight?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw the. I assume everybody here has seen the concept art, right? And concept art is always interesting because it's a concept, right? So, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the concept art, I'm going to be describing one of the pictures. One of the pictures is them fighting on some sort of fiery, background. Again, this is my answer: is I wouldn't be surprised if this fight is here. If this is something where he has to face Vader internally as part of that quest. That being said, it does seem like, there it is. It does seem like it's becoming more and more likely that they will actually fight physically. Although, again, I'm not going to be surprised if it's like a part of his journey, sort of metaphysically fighting each other, kind of like a going into the cave moment, right? Where Luke has to face himself. Rey has a cave scene, right? It's a sort of thing you do as a Jedi, is facing sort of the darkness. I think it's going to be interesting to see what it is that pulls Obi-Wan away. In the sizzle reel, Deborah Chow and Ewan McGregor talk about like, well, clearly he has this one last thing and he's protecting Luke, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. And so I'm thinking, what could possibly pull him away? And so I like the idea of, if he thinks he can still save Anakin, like, is that worth leaving Luke, I don't want to say defenseless, but clearly in some sort of danger. So I'm just curious to see what it will be. I think it will end in a stalemate. I think the idea that Vader's unable to kill him makes sense. I think it will be interesting to see fighting style wise where Vader is at, and to see that rematch. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like it's part of a vision as opposed to like them physically fighting. I think it's about 50-50 at this point in my mind. And it's going to be a rough The Brienne of Tarth and the mountain fight is kind of what I'm thinking, where it's just like
Yeah.
brutal and sad, and like you just want it to stop, and it's so filled with all this emotion. I imagine it's going to be an ugly fight, but in a really satisfying way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you said something too that's really, I think that's been in the back of my mind too, is like, what is the thing? I think that's a great question. Like, what is the thing that's drawing him out of Tatooine? You know, when he has such an important, you know, mission essentially. Rather, and I think some people have mentioned this too, where we kind of want to see him a little bit bitter. You know, if you think about it, like you're talking about a guy who's almost best friend, almost like little brother, turned to the dark side, and you know was married secretively. You know, killed his wife, killed younglings, and now you got to spend how many ever years? Let's just say 16 years. You know, looking after his son. This ain't even your kid. You don't even get child support for it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want to see. There's got to be a little something there that's like, damn, this kind of sucks. I want to see a little bit of that kind of work through too. But again, it's kind of with all of that in mind. It's like, okay, so what's the thing that would draw him out? I think that's a good thing that you pulled up. Yeah, good response. Dented Helmet. What about you, man? Who wins this fight? Not who wins the fight. Sorry, who starts the fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi?
So I just want to piggyback off the idea of like Kenobi kind of having like these like feelings, like maybe of Anakin still being alive and stuff, and wanting to help him, but adding the twist factor of saying if he doesn't even know it's Anakin, he just feels some force that he's like familiar with, so it prompts him to kind of like just leave Tatooine for a bit, maybe to like cover his tracks a little bit. And then bam, he's like searching through some like Imperial place. He turns a corner and Vader's just standing there menacing, like waiting for him kind of thing. I think that'd be terrifying. And so that's what I want. I honestly believe that I think that it would be a Vader would prompt the fight kind of thing. Because he's still salty about Kenobi. I think he knows Kenobi is still alive, but Kenobi doesn't believe Anakin is still alive kind of scenario. So he would definitely be the one to prompt it kind of thing.
Yeah. I think, you know, something that you made me think of was like, and I know Chaco talked about this before too, but, you know, there's a part where I get both sides. Like, I could see why Anakin, you know, Vader could be a little salty about like what happened. Like, yo, you chopped my limbs off and left me to die and burn, got barbecued, man. You know, and if it's like we're brothers, but you pretty much just left them to die, some people might think that's strange. But then on the other side of that is like, well, what could have Obi-Wan done differently? Like if he, you know, were to take, you know, Anakin captive and try to, you know, rehabilitate him, the Empire would have just wiped him out. You know what I mean? So there really wasn't, it was like, not just physically was he far gone. It was also kind of spiritually and in his mind, there was nothing that, you know, Obi-Wan could do to save him. So it's like when you understand that, it's like, yeah, you know, I get both sides why both could be salty, but it just makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Nico, what about you, man? Who do you think starts this fight? Who's throwing hands first, man?
All right. I think it's Vader, out of pure rage and spite and limitless anger.
Pure rage. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so I believe that at this point, if Vader just like sees or whiffs Kenobi, he's like, I must get revenge for my limbs.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I definitely see some revenge stuff in there for sure.
Also, weird thing. I hope Kenobi finds out something from Saw Gerrera, because that's one of my favorite tropes. People finding out about stuff from angry Saw Gerrera.
Yeah. Which makes me look at Ice Cube and his son. I don't know what characters they're playing. I mean, at least I think Ice Cube's in it. I'd seen something recently that came up about that, but I know his son is for sure. So it makes me wonder, could he be, you know, he has that look, especially more so like the Rebels style. I could see him being like a younger Saw Gerrera. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I agree with you guys on that so far. Like, yeah, Vader I could definitely see him throwing hands first. Mandalorian. Wait, how do I? Did I say no? Oh wait, midichlorians.
It's just like Mandalorian.
Midichlorians.
Mandalorian.
That's what I was trying to remember was midichlorians and Mandalorians. You put them together. I've been watching a lot of that Jeff Goldblum show. It's terrible. He's rubbing off on me. Anyway, so Mandalorian.
Yes.
I said it right this time. We're good.
Nailed it.
What do you think? Who is throwing hands first? Who has the high ground?
Obi has the high ground, but I think Vader starts the fight.
Okay.
I will say, as far as the concept art goes, it's too similar to the fight on Mustafar to not be either like a flashback, and or retconning or like additional footage, or like I can't see them. I mean, it's so poetic, right? So the fire, like it's all the rage and everything that's being pent up and like exploding, and obviously that's amazing. That's a different conversation. But like, would they do it again? Is there another fiery planet that's not Mustafar? Like, I have a hard time reckoning that. And so I saw the concept art and I saw it as this is what we could flash back to, or not an actual physical fight. As much as I would probably love to see that. That's my thought.
Okay, you made me think of something, and I'm trying to search it and pull it up so you guys can see it. Let me see if I can find it. I think this is it. Let me share my screen so you guys can see it. Because there's something you said, I was like, I think it would be necessary. It'd be really cool to still see them physically fight. Like, I want to see that. But there's also this part, like in the comics, that's canon. There's this moment where Anakin ends up fighting Darth Vader. It's really this kind of poetic thing. This is all in the Vader comics. And this is more so from Vader's perspective, but it's also in that I believe Obi-Wan is in that scene. So like it's really kind of a flashback of things that happened on Mustafar, when they were fighting in Revenge of the Sith. So you really get all of those moments within this comic. And again, Obi-Wan, he's a part of that. And it's really made in the comic. I can't remember which issue it was. This was all in the Vader comics, but it's really all a perspective of Vader kind of working through things within himself. I can't remember who the doctor's name was. It was like he was some clone specialist that like pretty much shut down Vader's mechanics. He's the one that helped. I don't know if any of you guys know what I'm talking about. He was the guy that did Vader's mechanics. But anyway, shut him down pretty much. And Vader kind of worked through it in his mind and regained control. It was a really badass issue. But anyway, what you were saying kind of made me think of that. Like, what if this, and looking at the concept art, it's like, it does have those Revenge of the Sith vibes. That could be a couple things like nostalgia, they're just giving fans what we want, or it could really be kind of this other thing that's happening, whether it's in the Force, it's mentally, who knows? So yeah, I think that would be really cool either way. Like, I wouldn't be disappointed if it was more of a thing like this is something in the Force or a vision or something that he's working through. Because again, like what Juliana was saying earlier, what's the causality of him leaving Tatooine for something that I would say is pretty vital? People are probably going to be looking for Anakin's kids, so what would draw him out of watching over this child, so seeing a vision or something could be really interesting. Let's check on the chat before we go to our next questions. Hi everyone, good afternoon, morning, don't know. Oh, this is Life of Oliver. What time it is for you guys? It's 23:54 in Scotland, and I have school tomorrow. Nice, man. I don't know what I don't remember military time, man. I do not remember military time.
He should be asleep.
11?
He should be asleep.
And you got school tomorrow, dude? What are you doing? It's anything. If it's anything like the SC-38 reimagined, is that the thing on YouTube where? Oh god, that was great. Oh man, with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Oh my god, I would love that. That'd be so cool. Yeah, that was really good, man.
Yeah.
If it is anything like that, oh yeah, we're in for a treat for sure. So, but then again, it's like if it's not, like, they could pull like a Last Jedi on us, and I would still be okay. You know, it's like, a not force projection, but you guys know what I mean. Where it's not like the person's physically there, but again, you have to ask when you think about like the task that Obi-Wan has. He's really looking after this kid for a purpose. So I definitely see, like Lebo, you were saying earlier, like Inquisitors for sure. They're going to be coming after, looking for this guy. If he pulls out a lightsaber at any point, it's like, it's very distinguishable. So I think, we're going to see him on the low for sure. So seeing him out of Tatooine, again, there's still that bigger question. What's the causality for that? So I could go on and on. All right. You guys got to bring me back in. We're going to our next question. Oh, Juliana, this was for you. So what does a Corky Kenobi reveal mean? So when I asked this, Corky Kenobi, it's almost like, are we really ready for that? If it's real and it does happen, which I highly believe. Yeah, I highly believe. There's an interview. I'm not going to show it here, but there's an interview, and then we're going to go around on the table and everyone can converse about this. But there's an interview with Dave Filoni, and you have a few actors and people who are all involved in Lucasfilm, and they mentioned something about like some joke or theory that was going around associated with Corky Kenobi, like Corky, right? Mm-hmm. And so, Dave Filoni's like, yeah, I'm not. If he said the truth about it, it would like make the fandom like lose their minds. So I was like, yo, what does that mean? Elaborate. So with that, and I'm paraphrasing, you guys can go back and look at the video yourself. I think it's the last time I tried to play it in a stream, I think it got like demonetized. So I'm not gonna play it here, but go back, you can look at it and you'll see what I mean. You're like, okay, there's something that they know or that they've talked about at least with the character that I don't know if it's like they want to do it or if it's a thing they're like, we got to wait for the right time. So I feel like the time is definitely now for like Kenobi. You know what I mean? Like if we're going to make that a thing, this is the place to like officially do it. So let's start off with Juliana on this one. We'll work our way around. So Juliana, if we end up getting a Corky Kenobi reveal, what do you think that means for the fandom? Like, what does that mean in Star Wars lore?
So it's funny to ask me this because it's something that like I have considered. It wouldn't be shocking to me because I think about it all the time. I think what's interesting to me is to consider how they would do it. And I know I'm like kind of like I said I was going to be a broken record, but in Clone Wars we get Obi-Wan admitting that if Satine had asked, he would have left the Jedi Order. And so if we're thinking about moments in his life where he could have made different choices, that's one of them. And I think that would be a very natural place in a vision, in a dream, to imagine a version of his life if he had made that choice. And I think there's a really great opportunity for a bit of dramatic irony where Obi-Wan is seeing this family that he could have had, but we as the audience know the truth, which is that that child does exist in this timeline, but he doesn't know. And so I'm actually a big proponent of not having Obi-Wan ever know about it. And I know that sounds strange, but I think Corky has potential on his own as a child of Mandalore and a Jedi. That's such an interesting concept that I think I'm more interested in him as a character than I am necessarily in Obi-Wan's acceptance or even revelation of that, right? So that could be a fun little dramatic irony moment. I think a little sort of wink to the audience is probably the best way to do it. And then later, if that's a character they want to explore more fully, they can. But personally, I'm more interested in like the point of view of Corky sort of coming into acceptance of what that means and feeling like, at this point, by the time the Kenobi series is taking place, the Mandalorians are very close to being destroyed. The Jedi Order has been destroyed. That's a very traumatic heritage to have to deal with. And I think there's a lot there that's worth playing around with. It's also about the year anniversary of Bo-Katan saying she's the last of her line, right? So what happened? Where is Corky? I just want to know, if he did die, how? What's the story there? So I think, that there's certainly going to be people in the fandom who I think are reasonably tired of legacy characters. What I think is interesting about a character like Corky is I think it's not a Luke or Leia. He's not special. He's just some person who's dealing with the pressure of having exceptional family, but being a regular person. And I think that that's a really interesting challenge to have to face. Is like, I'm not the Duchess of Mandalore. I'm not a Jedi general. I'm just a kid who got his life destroyed by the Empire, like so many other people. So that's really interesting to me. So I think the fandom could learn to accept it. There's always going to be people who don't want what seems like retreading old ground. That being said, I have a lot of reasons for why I think it's not old ground. I could go on about this forever, so I'll stop talking about it. If you want to know more, my TikTok is just full of my thoughts on it. So.
No, I love listening. Oh my goodness, that's why I was like, I was very excited to ask you this question first, because I was like, this is your playground. You know what I mean? Lot to think about when it comes to a Corky Kenobi reveal. Mandalorian, what about you? If we end up getting a Corky Kenobi reveal, what do you think that means for Star Wars?
I have to go after Julia about Corky Kenobi. No, I'm teasing.
Oh, but... I know, right? It's a lot to follow up. I know.
No, I'm with her. I think Obi-Wan not knowing is the way to go. I think that's more interesting, like long-term story-wise. I think a reveal would be interesting, but I think if Obi-Wan knew he existed, it wouldn't line up with Obi-Wan's actions later. It wouldn't line up with how he, it just doesn't register. So I don't see that on the map in a overt way. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's really it. It's kind of surprising hearing you say that, Juliana. Like, you don't want him to know, but again, when I think about it, it definitely makes sense. Now hearing you guys talk about it, like, I guess. And then what you're saying, Kira, is kind of like, it wouldn't make sense with other things that he's done afterwards. So, like, I get that for sure. Nico, what about you, man? Like, what do you think about this whole Corky stuff?
Like, all of my information has come from Julia. So, I tend to agree with the truthers.
Yep.
And I have not been done wrong by it yet. So, I think it's pretty interesting that for us, we would have the shock and awe moment of like, wow, that child exists. Yeah. He could have had that. And for the people that don't watch Clone Wars, it could be more of a reason for them to watch Clone Wars, because everyone should watch Clone Wars. But if Obi-Wan didn't know, it'd be like some nice poetry, which Star Wars always does.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, I'll share my thoughts later. I want to hear from two more people. Denton Helmet, man, what do you think about Corky Kenobi if it's revealed?
Okay. To make things interesting, so I'm not rehashing what other people are saying.
Yeah.
By the way, I really love the idea of keeping it like a secret from Kenobi. That's a beautiful idea, and I would personally believe that. But in my head canon right now, I want like a Jerry Springer styled like Kenobi on cast, your father kind of thing. That would be the funniest thing ever. But
cameraman following Obi-Wan as he's running to the back. No,
is Jerry Springer.
Yeah, right. So like, but no, like what it means for like a reveal kind of thing. You want to talk about breaking the audience like in a good way.
Yeah.
Everybody, like 90% of people I know, they're all like, yeah, he's totally a Kenobi kind of thing. Yeah. Once it's confirmed, everyone's like, they're done. It's done right there. We don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah. So I think it would be a good thing. I don't see any negatives of him being a Kenobi kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I like that. Lebo, we haven't heard from you, man. What do you think of as a Obi-Wan enthusiast, what do you think about Corky, the possibilities of Corky Kenobi being brought really into the canonized story of things?
So yeah, I remember the day I thought that was a possibility was I think when Disney bought Star Wars and The Force Awakens came out, and I said, oh, because I always thought Rey was a Kenobi.
Yeah.
So so I said, oh, it'd be cool is if there's someone between Obi-Wan and Rey who's, maybe Obi-Wan had a secret child that we never knew about. And I'm like, wait a second. He did have a secret child. Porky.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is he calling her auntie? That's not his aunt. Like, it's not Bo-Katan's kid.
Yeah.
So
he's got the whole whiteboard and like lines connecting.
Exactly.
Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I think it will do, what I think it could have done is, I think if this was revealed a lot sooner, I think Anakin could have came to Obi-Wan and said, "Hey, remember when you had a kid? I'm in love with someone," and maybe Obi-Wan could have counseled him through this. I always said there's a lot Obi-Wan and Anakin. There's a lot of similarities. Obi-Wan's always saying, be mindful of your thoughts. Don't do anything rash. Don't do anything impulsive. And Attack of the Clones, the first thing he does is jump out of a window onto a assassin droid with no hesitation. So I think if they had that in common, then they could have worked. I think it would have been beneficial for Anakin. It's funny. Also, I don't want to say this. We have not seen Corky since the episode Satine dies, and I'm hoping Corky survived. that episode. It is kind of it's kind of funny. One day I was watching that episode and I paused it at the very right or very wrong moment, and it's when Corky got punched. And if you do that in slow motion, that punch is not good. I mean, they over animate his jaw like over here. It's I hope he survived.
My headcanon is that is Gar Saxon. I do believe that Mandalorian is Gar Saxon.
Oh, really?
I think it's very poetic if it is Gar Saxon. I will also say, people ask me about this a lot. They're like, well, he can't come back. He's dead. And I'm like, here's the thing. So in that episode, Almec has this weird line where he's talking to Maul and he's like, Bo-Katan and all of her accomplices escaped. And you're like, that's a weird thing to say, Prime Minister Almec. And so I think that's a very clear, it's a good example of if he died, they would have made it clear that he was dead. I think they very purposefully put him on the back burner. If you want my tinfoil hat theory, George Lucas said, David, what have you done? Please get that baby away from Obi-Wan. He doesn't have a child. And Dave was like, okay, and put him back on the shelf. And then Disney bought Star Wars, and Dave Filoni was like, actually, here, just gonna throw in to bring this back out. And so if you look at Corky's change in appearance between season 3 and season 5, for example. But so there is a line in The Lawless where Almec is like, all of those people escaped. And you're like, I don't know how Corky escaped, because Lewon's totally right. He gets absolutely decked. But somehow, I don't know if a night owl comes and scoops him up, but no confirmation that he's dead. So it's sort of a loose end that I want to see tied up in whatever way, although certainly have the version I prefer it to be tied up in. But
the thing we have to remember is that it's a 6-episode series that I'm guessing each episode is going to be 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know how you're going to write in a Corky subplot. But I would love to see it in some form or fashion in any other show that Corky, or a movie or whatever, that Corky pops up and he's like, oh yeah, my dad was Obi-Wan. I would love to see it. I just don't know if we're going to see it in the show.
I agree. I don't think a full plot line. I think the acknowledgement that he exists would be great. That would be enough for me at this point.
I'm gonna share my thoughts on this matter. I gotta share my thoughts on this matter, but before I do, let me check in on everyone in all chats. Erica asked me, what would I do if I was surrounded by battle droids? Like me in general, or as Mando? If I was as Mando, then I just shoot them and use flamethrowers and use my jetpack and fly away. If it was me, I would die or curl up into a ball. But and to everyone on TikTok, I am live on YouTube with friends from TikTok, so be sure to come and join us. And what's up to my buddy Star Wars Lawyer? I see you in the chat. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Star Wars Lawyer.
So I've been thinking about this for a while for Corky. I think in terms of filming and projects, I see things like a theme, and I mentioned this earlier, like a campfire thing, and I think constantly seeing that kind of reoccurring throughout the show would be interesting, like Tatooine nights, almost, and maybe every other episode you have this theme, you know, whether it's at the end or whatever, where, you know, Kenobi is, you know, doing yoga or whatever, and you know, he's communing in the Force and trying to really get in touch with Qui-Gon, and it's not till the very last episode, I would say, would be kind of cool that he actually accomplishes that. But before that, you have this other moment where he's doing this kind of nightly ritual where he's sitting at a campfire on Tatooine, and you know, you have a visitor that comes, right, and that's Corky, and you know, they're kind of just conversing on, you know, all the times that have passed, but then also, you know, it's revealed that he is a son, and you have Corky that's angry, you know, saying, you left me, you know, when my mother died, and now you're looking after some kid that's not even your son. You know, I think there would be some interesting emotional stuff that could be added into the, you know, they don't have to do it exactly like that, but I see it, interesting conversation between the two would be very fun to see, where it's very subtle. There's this awkward tension, but you kind of know, like, and maybe it's kind of like subtly hinted that, like, oh yeah, this is your son. But then I still kind of like the idea of him not knowing, and I don't know, how would he find out about that? I'm not really sure. And there's another factor too, Yoda. I mean, maybe there's a possibility that we could see him in the Kenobi show as well. I don't know, at some point. So I don't know. I think seeing Corky Kenobi revealed would be really cool. How they're going to do it, I'm not sure. But I think this would be the place to do it. You know what I mean? I just feel like they definitely have to do it here. So we'll see what happens. Game Ranger, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning into the chat. So we got a few more questions with our guests. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I think we just have, we have like four more questions. So the lack of Star Wars presence at Disney Plus Day. I don't know about you guys. Me, on the other hand, I streamed. That was the longest stream I've ever done. I streamed for 4 hours straight, man. Holding on to dear life. Hoping that we would get a little. And here's the thing. This is why it was so underwhelming for me. I'll go first, and then I want to hear from you guys. But it was underwhelming for me because the whole Kenobi stuff, the concept art, that I got leaked the night before. So I had already seen it. I was like, okay, cool. They're probably going to give us a little short trailer the next day. And then to see that was the reveal, I was like, really? That's it? You know, after all this time, and they've been finished with filming. To me, I was just like, it was very underwhelming because I was not that I was hoping for something more. I was just expecting something different. And I think that was my whole problem with it. And then, I don't know, I feel like it just seemed strange that there was this lack of presence. Besides the Book of Boba Fett, you know, we did get to see a little bit of actually, no, we didn't see anything about the Book of Boba Fett. It was the
helmet.
The documentary. Yeah, so we seen that, and then Boba Fett's in Fortnite. You get to have that skin. But other than that, I feel like Lucasfilm, the presence just wasn't really there. And I've been asking myself, why is that? So I want to hear from you guys on this. Lee Ball, I'll have you kick it off, man. Why do you think we didn't have a strong presence at Disney Plus Day?
So I could talk for hours on this one. To me, Disney Plus Day was a tremendous letdown. The way it was marketed, God, the way I was marketing it, you would think that I was sponsored by Disney Plus. I mean, I was marketing that thing every day.
Yeah, and
to me, I think I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to D23, but I highly recommend it. It's basically Disney and all their properties, so it's everything that we all love.
Yeah.
And what I was expecting is how they announced the show. I was expecting it to be a hosted event where the CEO of Disney, what's his name, Bob Chespeake, is that his name? Comes out. So. It doesn't have to be in front of an audience because of COVID, and he brings out, Kevin Feige, and they talk about Marvel, and they say, "Hey, we got a sizzle reel, and now let's bring out Kathleen Kennedy, and let's talk about the Kenobi show." And she's like, "Well, as you know, the concept art leaked yesterday, but we're proud to announce, we have a sizzle reel here for Kenobi and Andor." They have behind the scene footage. You can get, they have a blooper reel someplace. Like they have all this, and to me, it needed to be a hosted event, not a self-serve event. Because like you said, you were streaming for 4 hours. There were all
Yeah.
these YouTubers streaming this, and there really seemed to be no direction because it's like, oh, I guess it's just coming out piecemeal on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
And again, even with just the logos with Marvel, that's fine, but I still think it needed to be hosted somehow. And you know, why was there a lack of Star Wars on it? I don't know. I think they could have done better. I mean, you have the Book of Boba Fett. Sure, we got the trailer a few weeks ago, but again, you could do some sort of montage. They put together Under the Helmet. Same thing with Kenobi and Andor. And they could have announced another, you know, other projects that might be in a hopper that we don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to share something in a minute after everyone goes because I feel like they're holding out on us, but I don't know why. So
I just felt really cheated. Again,
yeah,
you would think that I was being sponsored by Disney Plus.
Right.
I was really hyping this up. I was so excited for it. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get to Kenobi trailer. Kenobi! And it was the same sizzle reel that I saw yesterday. And sure, it's unfortunate it leaked, but that's it?
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt. Just expecting something different. That's all.
Yeah.
And also my TikTok people, I'm live on YouTube. If you were mentioned, to try to tag people as best as I can. So thanks for being here. And if you want to see all of our other guests from TikTok, you're more than welcome to join in on the YouTube stream. Juliana, what about you? Did you watch Disney Plus Day? What were your thoughts on that?
I was hanging out with Pep, Element 7 stream, his notification stream that morning, and we had a really great time regardless of the content or lack of content. I will say I was trying not to rain on people's parade, but I'm an English teacher. Part of what I teach is information literacy. Yeah. And so I was very much seeing a lot of sources and like people were hyping up the reveal of a trailer that it didn't seem like we had a lot of good reason to believe existed. That being said, a lot of the sources that were saying we're going to get this, we're going to get that have been reliable in the past. But studios aren't past leaking information for buzz, right? Or trying to find leakers by giving them certain pieces of information and then being like, we found the mole, right? So there's a lot of sort of sneaky things that happen. That being said, my take personally, looking at the way things were going, I get the sense they were going to show more and didn't for whatever reason. I don't know why that would be. I think I would have, obviously not having the sizzle reel leaks would have been great. I also think they could have waited to have the Boba Fett trailer drop on Disney Plus Day. That it would have been maybe a good way to sort of build up hype. That being said, if we think about it logically, they just revealed the Boba Fett trailer. If they do a Kenobi trailer now, that's going to take away a lot of the hype for that show, which they're sort of really leading up to now. So I'm not expecting a Kenobi trailer until maybe midway through Boba Fett or even after, so like January. That's when I'm expecting it. So this is a good example of like, I think as fans we can really work ourselves up. Levon, they should have been paying you. They got you to hype up Disney Plus Day, and like realistically they want subscribers. They need subscribers. They had a year, almost 2 years of launching the streaming service during a pandemic. The investors are now expecting a level of engagement and growth that is unrealistic because they're going to be fighting against statistics of people being stuck at home now forever, right? And so investors don't want they want growth. And so unfortunately Disney is being asked to provide a level of success that is kind of unrealistic. And so if we look at the decisions they're making budget-wise, it's way cheaper to just have your 22-year-old unpaid intern post some links on Twitter. Is it a better experience for the fans? No, it's not a good experience, but you're not paying to put together a stream, etc. I think it was the wrong choice in terms of presentation. The degree of false advertising, I think, is 50-50 in terms of consumer versus presentation. I think it was clear that there wasn't going to be a streamed event. It was relatively clear that the likelihood of a trailer was low. That being said, seeing the hype train sort of take off from the station, knowing that it was not going to the destination people expected, was really hard for me because I hate seeing the hurt feelings. And like, I think we also have to remember, like, Star Wars doesn't exist for content creators, unfortunately. And so there's a lot of people like us who build, hobbies or careers off of making content. And I saw a lot of people upset that they didn't get to make content. And I'm like, well, they're not making trailers just for you to react to them, unfortunately. So that's a sort of another realistic approach. I think it was weird. It had the vibe of like, I think they wanted to show more And for whatever reason, maybe because we were naughty kids who, snuck a peek at our presents, they said no. I'm really disappointed we didn't get anything about Andor because that show's been in production for forever.
Oh man,
So I would like to know that Diego Luna is okay.
Right.
Right.
that he's good. That everything's going well with that. But I know it's a long answer, but that's my take on it.
No, that's great, man. You bring up some good points where, and I feel like, I mean, this is a different project. I don't know why Spider-Man No Way Home came into mind because oh my God, the hype for that movie alone is insane. So, but again, totally different situation. I feel like you have different material to go after with that, where it's like you could probably look at the trailer and say, okay, kind of see where they're going with that. Certain theories, or you can pick apart and be like, okay, this is probably gonna happen. It's like a 95% chance. Whereas with Kenobi and everything that's going on now and the hype behind getting a trailer, again, it's like, you make a good point of they just released the Book of Boba Fett. That's kind of where they want their attention to be. I'm gonna still share my thoughts in a minute, but I do agree with what you're saying. Dented Helmet, man. I don't know. Did you watch Disney Plus Day? What are your thoughts on that?
I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you guys have said so far. Like, it was definitely something. On one hand, I see it kind of the way, like, I don't think they needed to put anything out on Disney Plus Day. It was just the birthday of when the service launched. Stuff.
Yeah.
However, on the same vein of things, but on the other hand, it's kind of like this is the birthday of one of the biggest streaming platforms there is. Yeah. And there's so many new titles coming out and stuff. Maybe you should, promote it a little bit. Yeah. I didn't work in marketing with Disney, so I can't answer for that. As why they didn't do it. I personally think that the reason they didn't do anything was because of Book of Boba. I'm a diehard Boba Fett fan more than I am a Kenobi fan, so I'm absolutely living for Book of Boba.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm very much in the smaller group of people. I think more people are more hyped for Kenobi. And by having that released before even Book of Boba is out, you're going to kind of, dwindle how many people are actually going to watch it. At least that's what I think that they're looking at is trying not to hurt that Book of Boba margin. Especially since, Kenobi, we still got some time before that's out and stuff. What they should be focused on is what is coming out next, and that is Book of Boba. And then whatever comes after that. I do believe we should have gotten some things, especially like you said on Andor and Kenobi and stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it's small bits and stuff. I'm not asking for a full trailer, just some breadcrumbs to feed the thing.
Yeah. Wasn't it pushed back again? I thought it got pushed back like a second time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I agree with you, man. We should have got I'm gonna share my thoughts in a minute, but thank you for sharing on that, man. Nico, you were. I think were you in my stream before we go to you, Nico? I'm gonna
around a bunch of streams.
I'm gonna end TikTok. I'm gonna end because my phone's gonna die. So come and join me on YouTube if you guys want to chat with us. We are live over there. We've got a lot of friends from TikTok, so be sure to come and join and subscribe if you want to continue in the stream with us. Nico, I know you were there with me for a good while, man. I don't think we followed up on kind of how you felt about it, but what were your thoughts on Disney Plus Day?
So I woke up a little late, so I was just like waiting. I was like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Releasing on Twitter? Cool, let's go. Refresh, jumping around in lives, and it was just like a little disappointing as a Star Wars fan. Everything else to hear about all the other stuff was cool, but as a Star Wars fan, it's just like, where's our stuff?
Agreed.
That's
man.
what really hurt.
That's where I am. Mandalorian. Did you watch Disney Plus Day?
I did. Big Disney fan. I also I usually try and do a good job of not getting caught up in the rumors, but I certain credible sources, right?
Yeah.
I got, and I am a Kenobi fan, so I kind of, hoped set over expectations. But that being said, looking back on hindsight wise, Star Wars just markets things differently than like Marvel. So Marvel, we get everything for Phase 4, right? Yeah. We got all these teasers on Disney Plus Day, and it's a lot. But Star Wars, if you look historically, they just kind of focus on, like Dented Helmet said, you know, Book of Boba Fett. Then we're going to move to this. Then we're going to move to this. There's not a lot of overlap. And that must be a strategy that seems to work for them because it's so vastly different from something. Marvel is obviously a separate entity and apples and oranges, but like it's similar enough in the sense that I think if you're a Marvel fan like I am, you get hyped and things like that, and then you kind of expect that from other fandoms. So you know, it was just some expectation setting. I think that maybe needed to happen.
See, I agree with you, but my problem is this. I'm going to share my thoughts on this. Disney Investors Day, what was that, like last year? Or maybe it was this year. I don't remember. But it was a good.
It was early. It was like January, February.
It was early this year. Yeah, they released a whole crap ton of everything that we're going to be expecting for Star Wars. So like we're talking the Lando Calrissian show, Andor, Ahsoka, another sequel, film that's going to, trilogy that's going to be coming out, that's untitled, all these different things, and so we were like, wow. So we know we have that to go off of. Then, you fast forward to, months later down the year, and then you have an event like this that, to me, it really felt chaotic. Like, I think the whole Twitter thing was just dumb. I like this, I'm comparing, I know this is a different entity, when we're talking about comics, but, DC Fandom, the way they have their setup, I think it's fantastic, where you have a central place for a specific brand and your fans are coming to that specific place. Rather, you're bringing in actors. I mean, come on, bringing in Ian McGregor to, live be there with the fans, to host, and talk a little bit about Kenobi and say, hey, I'm going to give you guys a quick little snippet. Rather, it was just him walking in the desert and you see that lightsaber ignite. We all would have lost our minds.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's all we needed.
That's all I wanted. That's it. So I feel like having a central place, number one, for the event would have been better. I think it was very chaotic for the whole Twitter thing, and maybe they were just trying to do social media boosting. I don't know. I just didn't like it. And then it did feel very Marvel-centric. The Marvel stuff was great. Oh my God, that's a whole nother conversation. I really loved a lot of the Marvel stuff they released. It's just the lack of Star Wars. It's like, I know the Book of Boba Fett is coming out. It's hard to make that make sense when they've released so many different titles of things that we can expect. And then you have a day like this where it's like they give you nothing. And you're like, what happened to everything else? What's going on? And again, I know the world that we live in right now, there's a lot, going on where some things get pushed back, and it is what it is. But that was kind of,
for me, one of the most disappointing things is that the rumor is what we got was the investor day reel. So like they didn't even do anything new. Like, what do we give him? Well, let's just show him. We showed him in January to the investors. Now we can make that public. It just seemed kind of like cheap. I feel like they could have. Again, you could have just got Deborah Chow and Ewan McGregor on a Zoom call and just say.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
what can we expect? You just have a quick conversation with them.
Yeah.
I also would like to say that I think people, and it's not against anybody, it just has to do with Disney being Disney. Yeah. The difference between Disney Plus Day and Investor Day heavily influences their money, their pockets. It's their investors, how much more they want people investing in. Whereas Disney Plus Day was the birthday, and they actually ended up lowering the subscription cost for like a limited time.
Yeah, it's like $1.99.
Yeah, so I think I honestly believe it was them going like, oh, we'll just do a different like subscription change and we'll get more people. Whereas all the fans like us were like, we want more. Like, I guess they just like mistranslated what we thought Disney Plus Day was versus what they thought Disney Plus Day was. I'm heavily believing with the rest of you that we should have gotten something though.
Yeah. And you guys all bring up good points, because there's this other part. I don't know what Lucasfilm's strategy is for, promoting these things. It can be very different from what they're doing on the Marvel end. So that definitely makes sense too. But it can't be denied. It just felt strange. If you're a Star Wars fan and Disney owns these properties, and we know, like, even for like Indiana Jones, like, we didn't get any news on that film or, everything else that's going on in Lucasfilm. When there's things coming and you kind of have a list of that. I mean, look, Marvel, they drop posters without even showing you trailers first. So give me a poster for Mandalorian season 3 or whatever. You know what I mean? Just to get people hyped up, like, oh my God, yes, this is coming. You know, some other news. You know, I think just having a little bit more of a presence would have been, I think that would have made up for the lack of trailers or anything else if you had a little bit more presence of Lucasfilm in general. So I was overall disappointed, but am I happy with what we got? It is what it is. It is what it is. So next question. We're almost done. I know I've been holding you guys captive for quite some time. So Obi-Wan Kenobi predictions. That's our next question. So I'm going to put 2 questions in that. Predictions for Obi-Wan, and then what character would you guys like to see make an appearance in the Kenobi show? So Lebo, we'll have you start off with that.
Okay. Predictions for the show is to be great. It's to be amazing. We're going to love it. I do think we're going to get some flashbacks. I'm really hoping for a flashback with a live action Ahsoka and Anakin, but I doubt that'll happen. But you never know.
Save it for Ahsoka show.
Save it for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
You mean the Ashoka? Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do have to refer to it as the Ashoka every time it comes up. I got it. I need it to catch on. It's the Ashoka.
Ashoka. Got it. Ashoka. That's how we pronounce her name now, guys. It's canon.
Yeah. Done. But as far as characters, I actually made a TikTok about this, and I only did 3 characters in it, but there's a lot more I would like to see. In my TikTok, I said Bail Organa, Cody, because I really want I want closure with Cody. I either want redemption or something with Cody. And then I said, and I'm not kidding, I would love to see Dexter Jester. So I think Kenobi, what I loved about Dexter Jester in Attack of the Clones, it just showed that Obi-Wan had friends outside the Jedi Order. So if there's anyone that Obi-Wan's going to call for assistance, it might be Dex. You know?
I seen this on your video. Yeah. Yep.
So, but it is not, I would love to see maybe Jabba. I love Boba Fett, but it'd be cool to see Greedo.
Yeah.
It would be cool to see,
Sorry,
it would just be cool to see other characters who never got their due. Again, I don't hate on Jar Jar. I'd be okay if he somehow. I remember when the Kenobi show was going to come out earlier and start shooting earlier, but they paused it. There was rumored Jar Jar was going to be in it, and I'm okay with it. I have no issues with it.
Yeah.
So those are some of the characters I'd like to see. Some of the, like I said, like Greedo, some characters who are on Tatooine who didn't get their due. What was the little slave boy's name who was friends with Anakin? I forget his name. Who helped him with the pod race.
I know who you're talking. I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about, though.
I have a feeling he's going to be in the show, but it's going to be like maybe we'll see Watto. It's just going to be. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I can't wait. So
yeah. Good call, man. Juliana, what about you? Predictions, and then what character do you want to see make an appearance?
I think we're going to get a lot. I still, my hope is that, and this is not to take away from the return of like a Hayden Christensen returning, but like I want the Obi-Wan show to be about Obi-Wan, and obviously Anakin is a huge part of that. But there are these other people like Commander Cody, like Satine, like all of these other people who are so important to him and to his story. And I think it would be a real loss to sort of gloss over a lot of that complexity. So it's hard for me to make concrete predictions. I think what we're seeing in terms of Inquisitors, it seems like it's going to be some sort of dark threat that Obi-Wan has to face. But I'm imagining it will be, I'm hoping still for sort of a psychological aspect of him facing his past and facing, his best friend shot him off of a cliff, and then what does he do with that? You know what I mean? And so getting to sort of like closure with Cody, I think is really important. In terms of, I don't care just about Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship. I care about Obi-Wan's relationship with all of these other people, and I care about him as a character on his own. And I think maybe we're talking about, that's one of the reasons I love the Corky storyline so much, is because Obi-Wan spends his life caring for the children of the Skywalker family. And I think it's such a bittersweet parallel to imagine a version of his life where he had his own family. And I love that. And I think it would be a mistake to not sort of analyze how much Obi-Wan has given of his life to the Skywalkers. And he's certainly happy to follow the light side, and he always chooses the light, but he's got to be a little bitter about the fact that he has lived his life now mostly for the Skywalker family. So I'm predicting a lot of like turmoil, but I'm also predicting 6 episodes are relatively fast paced in terms of the actual plot. I think we're going to see a lot of point of view from, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we have an ongoing Vader/Inquisitor point of view where we're getting scenes of them and their plan. In terms of characters I want to see appear, I'm always going to say Quinlan Voss because I just want to see what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
He's also very useful for if you need to find out information, he can just come and touch things, and that's always very helpful. And I love him very much, and live action Quinlan would make me very happy. Obviously, Satine and Corky would be fantastic, but I'm not holding out hope for that. So yeah, I want to see some closure with Cody, even if like Obi-Wan just sees him on like a holo or something, right? Like that would be, that would be so good. But yeah, Cody, Satine. I also think Quinlan would be a fun. He was in Obi-Wan's creche, right? They were friends growing up. If you read Dark Disciple, there's a lot there that I think there's a lot of feeling there they could still go into. So, yeah, that would be my short list. Predictions, I have no idea. There's going to be some sort of threat Obi-Wan has to face externally and internally, right? He's going to have his internal threats he's dealing with as well as the Inquisitors. I have no idea what it's going to be, though.
Yeah. There's something you said, too, that I had to go off of. If you guys have read Star Wars from a certain point of view, the Empire Strikes Back book, there's a point where literally what you were talking about, there's a point where Obi-Wan is kind of like talking in the Force. I don't know if he's talking to Yoda. I think he is talking to Yoda.
Yeah, he and Yoda are both dead. Watching Luke being like, God, how did we end up here?
Yeah, with another Skywalker, you know? Yeah. And so with that information alone, it's like, you definitely, this guy's got to have a little bit of bitterness. Like, oh my God, my whole life has been investing in Skywalkers, you know. So I think we're definitely going to see a little something of that. Dented Helmet, man. What about you? What are your predictions for the show, and who would you like to see make an appearance?
As far as predictions goes, pretty much what everyone else has said. I know it's going to be a good show, so I'm not doubting that in the slightest. Yeah. And I heavily agree with the aspect that he is going to have to face 2 different types of issues, an external and an internal issue. And how he goes about that, who knows? As you can see, I've been waiting to say who I want to return.
Hey!
But there was a thrown away plot line from Star Wars Rebels to where Thrawn realized they were working with clones, so they would bring in ex-clone, obviously Commander Cody, still working with the Empire to deal with Rex and them, you know, and them causing shenanigans. The fact that they didn't use that line or that entire plot like episode and stuff, I want them to use something like that for Kenobi. Then I want, like, if somebody is to be hunting down Kenobi, I want it to be Cody. You know, it would be cool if it's like an Inquisitor, but if it's Cody, it just hurts so much more.
Could he have been like training like Death Troopers, or like is that something we could see? I don't know a lot about like the history of that.
Wow. He like did training in some legend stories and stuff, mostly in Camino, but we already know what happened. You know?
Yeah.
Man.
Damn, I really want to see that now. That'd be kind of cool. I would love to see that. Nico, what about you, man? I know you're not a big theory guy, but what are your thoughts going into Kenobi, and who do you hope to see as far as another Star Wars character?
All right, okay. Yeah, my theories and predictions are always terrible. So, I want to see the second sister.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to see Inquisitors fly in live action.
Okay.
My life will be completed.
Okay. I feel like in the fandom, there's this split love-hate relationship between those lightsabers. I think we're definitely going to see Inquisitors for sure, man. That's going to be amazing.
Will they fly?
Will they fly is the question, though. Maybe this will be the prototype 1 Inquisitors. I don't know. We'll see. Mandalorian, what about you? What are your predictions for Obi-Wan? And, you know, it could be anyone in Star Wars that's I guess, alive during this time, who would you want to see make an appearance?
I mean, who I was gonna say isn't alive. It's Qui-Gon. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's gonna be really. This is what I want the Kenobi show to be. I'd love to see like doubts, some PTSD, regret. Like, you know, it's like Julia said, like psychological warfare that's going on with Obi-Wan. Because if you look at him, he's full of doubts all the time, you know, and he's not like a lapdog for the council. He's not this like amazing wise sage. He is, but like as he's growing up with Anakin, he has his own struggles, and that's not just going to go away after the high ground and all of that. And I want to see him grapple with that. I want to see him wonder if he did the right thing. And I would love to see him relying on his masters like Qui-Gon, like Yoda, or going through like the Yoda arc in Star Wars The Clone Wars with like how to become a Force Ghost and like all of that. I want to see that transition from Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness, you know? I think there's a lot. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Good predictions, guys. I think for me, I mean, I agree with everything that you guys are talking about. I think, see the struggle, I think, again, because that humanizes the character, where you kind of get to see them. He doesn't always have it together. The Ben Kenobi that we meet in New Hope is this kind of legend, that is definitely the mentor, that's definitely the push, that's kind of passing the torch, and is such a great role model, like, from where we've seen him in Rebels and in A New Hope, right? But again, it's like what happened before that point in this time, I think is something that a lot of us are excited to see. So I agree with all of that. As far as a character that I hope to see again, I mentioned it too. I would say Qui-Gon. I think that's definitely necessary for sure for Obi-Wan. And I think it should be like a last episode kind of a thing. I think that would be really cool. I don't think it's something we need to see early on, because I want to see this be a thing he has to work on and that he's struggling with to really harness. Like when you think of the Force, it's this, kind of, it's a spiritual kind of journey, and to get to that point where you're communing with, your dead master is going to take a lot of trial and error, to kind of get to that point. So I want to see him work through that, but I really want it to be like, I think it would be meaningful to be the last episode. You know what I mean? Maybe that's how the show ends, is like he finally finishes, learning how to do this. And I think that would be really cool to have that moment with Qui-Gon. And I think we have one more question. I have held you guys captive. I'm so sorry, but it's been great chatting with you all. So this is the last question. Why the return of Hayden Christensen for Darth Vader? And I'll answer. I'll talk about this first, and then I want to hear from you guys. I don't know if it's a thing of authenticity, of having the same guy under the skin, but why specifically Hayden Christensen? Why are they bringing him back? Because again, we've had different, suit actors, and stunt folks that have been under the suit of Vader. So why specifically do you guys think they brought back Hayden Christensen? Mandalorian, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think an aspect of it is a joke I make a lot about is like prequels were so panned at the time, and now they're so loved. They're not there, but like I think bringing Hayden back gives authenticity, but it also like a lot of people love Hayden Christensen. When the prequels came out, he got trashed and all of that, but like now. For me, I'm a prequel kid. I grew up on it. I want to see him in that. Anybody else's Vader isn't Vader. Star Wars is so generational, and that's who my Vader is, So it's like, it's what was an issue with Solo and Harrison. It's hard when you're looking for someone to embody that character. I think it can't be anybody else, even if we never see his face, knowing he's there. It would be the same thing for Boba Fett in Mandalorian. If it's not that actor, it's not Boba Fett. You know what I mean? And so I think the Star Wars universe and Lucasfilm is at a level where they really want to deliver that to the fans. generationally speaking, and just for the average Star Wars fan too.
Yeah.
I think Hayden he's been showing up a lot more at like Comic-Cons. You know, they've kind of soft launched him. He's been at premieres,
Yeah.
all of that, you know, and just kind of testing the waters. What was that Star Wars game show where it had the guy who played Jar Jar, the actor? What's his name again?
Oh, yeah,
Ahmed
yeah,
Best.
Ahmed, yeah, and he hosted this like Star Wars game show. And it went
Yep.
like that was good reviews too, because people,
Yeah.
oh, it's the guy who plays Jar Jar. I don't hate Jar Jar,
Yeah.
you know. And so I think it's just bringing back people like that because it's now part of the canon. It's whether or not you like the films or not, the Clone Wars TV show, all of this stuff has fleshed out all this other stuff around the prequels, and it's this vibrant source of canon. So it's more. It's become more than what it was. And that's a long answer, but I feel very.
No, I agree with you. I think there's this part of because I'm a prequels kid too, man. That was. You know, those are the first Star Wars films that I've seen that kind of, you know, well, theatrical releases, you know what I mean? And it was kind of the thing that brought everything full circle, you know, for me, that it was like, you know, now I got to go back and watch all the original trilogy, you know? And I brought up his picture because I think we should make Darth Jar Jar canon. So, but yeah, man, I think that would be really cool. Okay. Who is next on my list? Dented Helmet. We'll have you go, man. Why Hayden Christensen specifically?
I think it's mostly just like a stunt, honestly, by Disney. I don't like to look too much into things, honestly. I think they know that he is a beloved actor of all of us, and that getting him back would be a huge twist. And people are like, yeah, I want to watch this Kenobi show knowing that Hayden Christensen's in it. But I also think that it ties into the idea that we've had so many different people play Darth Vader, like under the mask and stuff, to where they don't need Hayden Christensen to do that. They would be paying too much for a specific person to play a role they probably don't even want him to play. So I do believe that we're going to get some form of like flashbacks and Clone Wars era content of seeing Anakin once again, whether it's like, you know, once an episode or once in the entirety of the series. I don't really see him playing like actual Vader under the suit unless he's like in a back to tank kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because I guess that's why I asked it. It was like, you know, why he's got a pretty face. You know what I mean? And the long hair. So and then you think of Vader, it's like, unless we're gonna see him again, you know, kind of in a back to tank or something, you know, what will be the purpose behind him specifically, unless it's kind of a flashback kind of a thing. Again, same thing with him being in Ahsoka. I would imagine we're going to see something like that too. So who knows, man? I guess we'll find out. Nico, what about you, man? What are your thoughts on Hayden returning? Why specifically him for Vader?
I feel like it's one of those things where Disney's like, we have to ask. And the fans were like, it's never going to happen, right? And Hayden was like, sure.
Yeah, right. I'll give it a decade.
Got to that situation. Yeah, he's just like, you know what? I see a lot of TikToks about me these days.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? What the hell else am I doing these days? Why not, man? Let's come back and do it. I think, and yeah, he seems really nice too. You know, everyone, please be nice to this guy this go around. I really hope, and you know, I feel like there's a lot of positive. At least my experience. I know a lot of you guys may have different stories, but I feel like my experience has been very positive in within the fandom. I know there are other parts where there can be struggles, and you know, I think when I first started making Star Wars content, I had a buddy of mine. He was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know that Star Wars fans are assholes." I was like, "Thanks for the heads up, man." Jeez, it's very a positive way to pushing me forward with making Star Wars content. But you know, for me, my experience, you know, it's been nothing but positive, you know, with the community that we have. So I really hope that a lot of the actors kind of get that as well that are coming back. Like there's a lot of excited and positive fans out there as well. So Juliana, did you already share about Hayden?
I mentioned him a little bit briefly when I was talking about predictions.
Okay. Yeah, but I don't think you answered this question. What were your thoughts on him coming back specifically as Vader?
I mean, I agree with Dented Helmet. It seems like it's a marketing thing, especially trying to get those prequels fanboys in who kind of have a currently, a lot of them are battling Lucasfilm. They're very angry. But if they're huge prequels fans and they're specifically Revenge of the Sith fans, for example, that's going to be a huge draw for them. I also think because it's Hayden specifically, I agree. We're gonna get, again, I think Force Vision content, flashback content. I also think it would be really cool to see a bit underneath the helmet and to see that we still recognize Anakin in that face, even if it's super gnarly and really heartbreaking. And I think that is something we're going to see. We're going to see a sort of macabre reality of the man that's underneath that helmet. I also reminds me of in Revenge of the Sith, Hayden insisting on being in the Vader suit at the end, right? And sort of wanting to embody that and having it be him doing that. So it seems like that's something that was important to him then. So I imagine now too, trying to bridge that gap with the physicality. It seems like that could, if that's something he wants to do as an actor, like go for it, right? Is to really play around with that, especially the fighting, right? That might be something he's interested in. Like, no, I want to fight as Vader and see what that's like. That seems like that would be super fun as an actor to get to have that experience. Jokingly, I'm also like, he has a daughter. Maybe she wants to go to college, and he's like, "Yeah, let's get this money. I'm ready. I'm ready for some Star Wars money again." But I'm happy that we're giving him a second chance. Something I recommend to do is to watch Revenge of the Sith on mute, because as a physical actor, Hayden does an excellent job. He is being given dialogue and is being directed in such a way where, he's doing the best he can, but he gives as he's writhing on the lava, he's giving this anguished look. When he is looking at Padme on the balcony, it's cringy, but if you turn off the dialogue, he looks like he's in love, right? So I think he has a lot of possibility in the hands of George Lucas. Is a great director. He's not great with actors necessarily, right? So Ewan McGregor, even and Natalie Portman, Liam Neeson, sort of classically trained, experienced actors are going to do the best they can. Yeah. I think Hayden needed better direction from a director who works with actors specifically. Yeah. So I think this will be a great opportunity for him to show what he can do in the hands of a director who's more focused on actors. So, and also now has had a lot more experience just as a person. So I think marketing, but I also think it's based on what they want to do with the show and their relationship. Then again, we thought Mandalorian was going to be one thing, and then Baby Yoda Grogu showed up and totally took us by surprise. So you never know with these things.
Yeah, and the funny thing you mentioned about Hayden too, I know there was something in the behind the scenes I've seen for Revenge of the Sith where he even mimicked his voice, the way he talks, similar to that of James Earl Jones. So, some people would make fun of that back in the day where they're like, why does he talk like that? But then it makes sense when you think of the character. He wouldn't just have this weird vibratum kind of voice, just when he becomes Vader. That was kind of a thing he made for his character where it was like, oh, yeah, he was kind of mimicking that of the way Vader actually speaks, which is pretty, and that was his own decision, which is pretty genius. So I'm happy to see the guy come back. I think I'm still on the fences of, specifically why him. I wonder if there's going to be flashback scenes of maybe Clone Wars times, or, I would love to see Obi-Wan in his Clone Wars, attire. That would be amazing.
I've already given birth to a child. You just saying that. I've married and given birth to a child that now exists based on imagining live action.
You heard it live, people.
So I think that's a lot to ask for. I think it would be a lot for many people.
Yeah. Did you already answer this one? I think
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you did. Okay, I wanted to make sure.
Lebo,
I think you're the last, the Obi-Wan himself.
Why Hayden? I actually think we kind of owe it to him. I feel like the fandom has ruined so many lives. I mean, we literally put Jake Lloyd in a mental home. So I think we owe it to Hayden. And as you said, he was a young actor with poorly written script and a director that just said faster and more intense. So I think we owe it to him. It would be a shame to not see him see his face. But then I think of Gwendolyn Christie, who was Captain Phasma. We just saw an eyeball. But I do think we'll see flashbacks. I do think we'll see a torso. I do think we'll see a torso in a back to tank. You know, maybe he'll get some sort of different suit where most of his face is revealed. Or if anything, we'll get an Ahsoka Vader type thing where his helmet gets sliced in parts and we'll just see half of his face. Could you have done it without Hayden and just have Vader? Absolutely. Could you have recasted Hayden? Probably, maybe. I don't think the fandom would accept it. But again, I think we owe it to a lot of the actors whose lives were ruined by the fandom, and particularly Hayden. He gave up acting, right? This is like his first time acting in like ever, I think.
I think
he
been a
did
while.
a movie called Looper or Jumper or something like that. And that's basically it.
Jumper is a great movie.
It was a good movie.
It is. It's very enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him come back, man. And I think I agree with you that, you know, as passionate as Star Wars fans are, because we are very passionate, I think it's cool to say like, hey, we definitely owe it to a lot of these guys to come back and let's all give them a better experience, you know, with their return. Right now, what
I don't know
doing,
if you guys have ever been to Star Wars Celebration, but in Star Wars Celebration Chicago, they brought out Ahmed Best, and he got a standing ovation. Like, I teared up because I'm like, we love you, and I'm sorry for everything that's happened to you. Like, he wanted to kill himself, and we all gave him a standing ovation, and I was tearing up, he was tearing up, and it was just a great moment. So the fandom, as you said, is very passionate, but sometimes that could be very toxic.
Yeah, nope, they definitely can. I'm typing all you guys' names in the chat so everyone can come and follow you. And Lebo, I think you're the only one that I need to type. There you are. Lebo1 Kenobi.
Yep.
Lebo1.
LEBOWANKENOBI.
Follow him on TikTok. And I think a lot of you guys already have like Instagrams and stuff too. So
yeah, my Instagram link, my profile.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm telling you, after these streams, I always have people hit me up like, hey, can you post everyone's socials in the chat? So I'm doing it now. If you guys go rewatch, go follow all my friends from TikTok. Last question, didn't we get a Luke and Grogu poster? Can't remember if that was for Amanda or not. We did get a poster, which was for, I think it was like a Comic-Con that was happening, and they released like art, you know. Yep. But I think that was definitely foreshadowing things that we could expect for season 3, which I think will be really cool. But yeah, we did get a poster. It was really fun. Other than that, guys, I mean, it has been so fun chatting with all of you. Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's a lot to be excited for in general with Star Wars. Again, you know, the lack of presence with, you know, Lucasfilm at, you know, Disney Plus Day was unfortunate. But with that, I also believe that there's still other things to come. So I'm looking forward, you know, to what their plan is. You know, I think they're very strategic in terms of their marketing. So we'll see what happens next. Other than that, you guys have been great. Any last questions, comments before we end?
Thanks for having
us. No, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, anytime. You guys have been great. Denton, so good having you back too, man. It's been like months. It's been a long time, so consider yourselves usuals. I would love to bring you guys back on and have more chats about Star Wars and whatnot. So you guys have a fantastic night. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel and go follow all my friends from TikTok. Peace. Bye, guys.
Talk to you with you.